Well, it's Thursday morning. We're at the Shoal Center again for another meeting of Sidney by the Sea Rotary Club. As you know, my name is John Trelevin. I'm a speaker seeker and ably assisted, I should say, by many members of the club. And this morning, my good friend Ray Andrews brought Erik Piikkila to our attention. Erik is a forest ecologist, watershed specialist who spent considerable time this morning having us all look at forests beyond the trees. The trees are important, but they're important for more than just wood. Mm-hmm. And it was a wonderful presentation. It was, in some ways, if you look at the way forests have been managed, and Erik will talk about that, I'm sure, over the last number of years, it's kind of a revolutionary position that should be given very serious consideration by the public, of course, and Erik is a strong advocate for the position, but by our three levels of government. And as you know, in this club, John, we have the privilege of having Elizabeth May as a member. She thanked Erik this morning, and she brings to her commitment to forest practices, watershed management, and whatnot, frankly, a lifetime of commitment. So it was wonderful to have two of them in the room at the same time this morning. And as I've always said about Sidney by the Sea Rotary, this is the best way I can think to start a Thursday morning. And it started very well today with Erik. You might want to just summarize the highlights of your presentation.
A little bit, yeah, I can. Well, it's interesting that I've seen Elizabeth May for a long time too, so it was very, very nice to get to meet her. And she's been busy locally and regionally and the federal level trying to change how we're treating our ecosystems and what we're doing. And, you know, as head of the Green Party in Canada for quite a long time. So this is part of the stuff too, is that like I mentioned that I really want to see if I can help, you know, share knowledge and see if we can move the needle in ecology and social and cultural and economic possibilities. Because like there is so much doom and gloom out there and we see so many problems, but there's just so many opportunities as well that if we started working together, sorry, if we started working together like they seem to be maybe in the States, that the conservationists and mill workers and loggers and citizens are working together, whereas we're still sort of in our separate towers and sort of yelling at each other. And the science is getting more and more solid. It's been solid for 30, 40, 50 years, and it's more and more results are coming in every day that we can't keep treating these ecosystems the same way we have been and expect the same outcomes as the past or better outcomes. Like we're sort of clear cutting our way to flooding and wildfires and setting ourselves up for a disaster. And our forests in Canada used to be a carbon sink, and now they're a carbon source. You know, we seem to be getting the least amount of value for every cubic meter that, you know, we're sort of grabbing a quick 25% of the value. And why couldn't we get 100% or 500% of the value of every cubic meter? So maybe we could actually log less, but we just sort of flood the US market and say, hey, pay what you can to it. But, you know, these ecosystems do all these ecological goods and services for free, but we're spending as taxpayers millions and tens and hundreds of millions of dollars to put in water filtration systems because our forested ecosystems like we have aren't being allowed to do the job that they would normally do. Store water, slow down water, filter water, store carbon, create habitat, create food for animals, create berries for First Nations and for everybody else. And it's actually a cost savings to restore these ecosystems, so we're not having to spend billions and trillions trying to build seawalls and, you know, $1 billion a year to fight forest fires. So you know, dollars and cents, SENSE, that we really have to see if we can get these ecosystems firing on all cylinders so that they'll help us withstand the challenges that are coming at us with climate change. And climate change doesn't care about our political ideas or religions or anything else. It's going to lump us all equally. Yeah. And if we can start working together, sure, we can make changes.
Erik, we're actually quite privileged to live in this region. partly because the quality of the drinking water is so good, and it's so good because of the Souk Reservoir and decisions taken years ago to expand the Souk Reservoir to preserve the watershed. I know at this point the CRD has said, well, going forward, we're going to have to, there's a limit to that. But we're actually living in one of Canada's major cities that has a natural source of fresh water for 460,000 people.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's, only too well, there's a laboratory there, and there's a whole level of government, the CRD, that's totally committed to the principles you spoke about today, and it's committed for all kinds of reasons, not the least of which is economic.
Mhm.
Now that they think that given growth in the region, the capacity of that Souk Reservoir is definitely tapped out. We're looking at a huge expense for a water treatment facility, which Mother Nature has been providing in this city of 460,000 people forever. Okay, you do reach, even Mother Nature reaches a limit.
Mhm.
But it is quite wonderful that you're making a speech, a presentation that you did today in a city that's actually powered by nature created fresh water.
Yeah.
How wonderful is that?
Yeah. And doing it all for free. The ecological goods and services that ecosystems do, they do it for free. But in order to do that, we're spending billions in Iceland to suck carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and put it into rock in the ground. Billions of dollars doing that, whereas we could take that billions and like New York City talking about water. So New York City was going to spend $10 billion on a water filtration system, but they spent 1.5 billion in ecosystem restoration to look after the watershed. So it does all of those natural processes, filtering water, like all the layers of vegetation, slowing down water, keeping snow and letting it melt slowly, and then surface water becomes groundwater and then fills in the aquifers, which then where we get our water from. So this is the thing, is that it is about dollars and cents and common sense that these ecosystems do this. And we have, in our industrial extraction efforts, we have just absolutely dynamited those ecosystems' abilities to do stuff for us that it does for free.
John, you're not going to be able to join us this morning, which is unfortunate, but we're going to do something quite unusual. Eric is going to take us, members of the club, in the next few minutes on a walk through an old forest and give us a truly educated, guided tour of where our eyes are falling.
Well, listen, for the bazillion viewers we now have, by the way, Eric, would love some pictures, which I can add to this to this chat here. So John or Eric, please take a few pictures during your walk. Send them my way, and we'll add a bit of life to our discussion.
So how wonderful is it that we get fresh water from the Souk Reservoir for the city this size? And we can go on a forest walk within 15-minute drive of where we're sitting in the Shoal Center today. It hardly gets better than that.
Crazy. And food for thought, Eric. I've done advocacy projects throughout my life. Some have been successful, some have not. The ones that have been successful, when challenged, how did we reach that goal? I think it's important to note that it is done brick by brick. Successful advocacy, successful promotion is never achieved in one fell swoop. It's bit by bit by bit. So the fact that you're talking to the Rotary this morning, Elizabeth was there, John has now provided the leadership to have another layer of promotion and information. These are bricks that collectively over time form a house, and that becomes the objective. So we're helping with some bricks.
Absolutely.
Today.
And I do have a suggestion too, is actually, so if the viewers go to my YouTube channel, which is called Ecosystem Decoder, there's videos where I'm talking and giving tours in forests. There's one from Salt Spring Island. There's one from the research forest on the south end of Cowichan Lake. So there are forest tours then that are available in video form where I'm leading a walk and talking about some of these issues.
Oh, for sure. A link to that in the details. Absolutely.
Yeah. So then that lets them come on a tour, at least those two. And then some where I've been giving presentations. There's links to those too. So the deeper dives, there's several videos that are like an hour and a half long too that get deeper dives in the issue.
Terrific.
So there's resources out there. And then my professor too from the University of Washington, Jerry Franklin, I've got a playlist that has his videos, and he's got a few on there too, where he talks about the same issues, because I'm standing on his shoulders as I'm standing on the shoulders of my dad and my grandpa, because they were, you know, tree fallers, the art and science of trying to survive every day. And I wanted to be a tree faller too, but they said, nope, it's a war out there and they get killed every year. Go use your brains instead, right? So I think I could have been a good faller. My dad out of high school could have taken me up to his logging camp and then trained me up to be a faller. But they're like, nope, it's just too damn dangerous, and stay the hell away from this.
I was a chokerman for a summer back when I had hair, back when I looked young.
And where was that? Where were you?
Kelsey Bay, up near Kelsey Bay.
Okay, so my dad, his last 15 years, he was a faller at Kelsey Bay. That's where I was going to go get trained up as a faller out of high school.
Wow.
And I'll show you here, look. Look, I've got this hat here. Look, see, there's the old McMillan Model logo.
Wow.
And then this is a company called Redfish Restoration in New Coolidge, and they're restoring the old Kennedy Lake Division lands with a guy named Andy McKinnon, who's well known in forest ecology circles here in BC. And they're thinning the forest and the salmon forest to try to restore the habitat after, you know, the clear cutting of the McMillan Dodell. So
yes. Well,
there's all kinds of stories from this hat as well too.
I forget who I worked for, but it was a Vancouver company.
Oh, and there was a contractor called Dyson up there, perhaps.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And
but my dad was there.
I did it for a summer, and there were at least 2 or 3 instances. Of course, you get lazy, you're young, you think that, you know, you can withstand anything, in which sort of a left or a right move, and I'm not doing this interview with you. I totally get what your relatives are saying to you. And the fallers were recognized as being infinitely more dangerous than the chokermen, who lived precarious lives jumping on these logs. Good for you. I'm so glad that we're talking with you today.
Well, I mean, and the whole art and science, like my dad and my grandpa were master fallers, like, because every saw cut, I call it that they're manipulating an explosion. They're not controlling it. They're manipulating it for cutting the tree down and then bucking it into logs.
Yes.
So this is the art and science of being a tree faller. And I didn't quite say this in our talk today, but I have a recruitment message that I need the loggers and the foresters and the forest technicians and the managers. I need their smarts to do the kind of forestry I want to do, which is retaining trees. Like clear cutting is easy. It's like whacking down a field of corn.
Yeah.
But to retain trees and dead trees and patches of trees and down logs, it's going to need all the smarts that my grandpa and my dad had to do a forestry, ecological forestry, that's harder to do. So we need all their smarts. So it's a recruitment drive. I need more of those people, forest workers, out in the woods. And then they have transferable skills, like in the restoration end. Their logging skills are what we need in the restoration side of things too. So it's a double recruitment message. We need more people in the forest, and there's less now than there was 20 years ago of the Ministry of Forests and forest workers. We need that expertise. And retirees have all this expertise too that has lost knowledge. We need to gain that back and figure out how to do this better in the 21st century.
Eric, my instruction from the club in inviting speakers to come is to take us out of the room in the Shoal, that lovely room in the Shoal Center, for 20 minutes in the morning. This is the first time that our guest speaker, you, will not only take us out of that room, you're taking most of the club out of the building for a walk in the forest to demonstrate in living color some of the principles that you spent some time this morning elucidating to us.
You guys have a great walk through the forest.
And for our viewers to this channel, if you're interested in Rotary, find a local club and join. You will not be disappointed. And if you're in the Saanich Peninsula, by all means, come by the Shoal Center every Thursday morning at 7 o'clock for breakfast. Now, I recognize it's a challenge, you can't have a breakfast club that meets at 6 o'clock at night. But we're a breakfast club, and as I said earlier in this interview, I can't think of a better way to start a Thursday morning. And Erik, your presentation was really fantastic.
Gosh,
Very
thank
much
you.
appreciated. And I look forward to walking through the forest with you in a few minutes.
Cool. Thank you, John, and thank you, John.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of the day, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you, John.
Of course.